President Trump now says he plans to announce his nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court on July 9th, 1 week from Monday. He spoke to reporters today as he flew from Washington to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey for the weekend. The president said he's already narrowed his choices to 5 to 7 finalists and that 2 are women. He said he will not ask the candidates if they would overturn Roe v. Wade. That's the 1973 decision that legalized abortion. The state Supreme Court of Iowa has struck down a state law that requires women wait 3 days before getting an abortion. The court found it violates the state constitution and could make abortions unobtainable. State Justice Edward Mansfield dissented. He is on the president's list of potential U.S. Supreme Court nominees. The man accused of shooting 5 people to death at a Maryland newspaper was denied bail today. Jared Ramos faces murder charges. Officials say he had had a long vendetta against the Capital Gazette in Annapolis. At a White House event today, President Trump said the newspaper attack was horrific.
This attack shocked the conscience of our nation and filled our hearts with grief. Journalists, like all Americans, should be free from the fear of being violently attacked while doing their job.
In the past, the president has routinely described news reporters as enemies of the people. We'll have a full report on the Annapolis shooting and its aftermath later in the program. The UN's International Organization for Migration today snubbed President Trump's pick for Director General. Ken Isaacs faced criticism that U.S. immigration policies were too harsh and that his online postings were anti-Muslim. Members of the IOM eliminated Isaacs in the early rounds of voting in Geneva. A Portuguese candidate ultimately won. It is only the second time since 1951 that an American won't be leading the group. In Syria, a new refugee crisis is exploding as government forces assault rebels in the southwest. UN officials now say the fighting has driven 160,000 civilians from their homes. The Israeli military said today that it delivered 60 tons of aid and medicine to refugees on the Golan Heights, but they will not be allowed to enter Israel. A federal judge in Washington today blocked the state of Kentucky from imposing new work requirements for Medicaid recipients. The judge today said that no consideration was given to an estimated 95,000 people who would lose benefits as a result. Kentucky was the first state to impose the work requirements. Canada has announced tariffs totaling $12.6 billion on U.S. steel and aluminum, plus ketchup, lawnmowers, and whiskey. They take effect July 1st in retaliation for U.S. tariffs. Meanwhile, China formally announced that it is easing limits on foreign ownership of Chinese auto plants, insurance, and other sectors. And Wall Street closed out the week with modest gains. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 55 points today to close at 24,271. The Nasdaq rose 6 points, and the S&P 500 added 2. For the quarter, the Dow gained just over 0.5%, the Nasdaq rose 6%, the S&P 500 added nearly 3%. Still to come on the NewsHour, a 17-year-old immigrant struggled to reunite with his father. The White House Legislative Affairs Director on Immigration and the Supreme Court. The latest on the shooting in the Capital Gazette newsroom and much more.